Blog.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
That's just in case you didn't get it the first time, right? So anyway, welcome to my show, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. And today is such a fun day for me. I get to talk sex with men, with like a whole handful of men. I have another one calling. That's right, Matt is here too. So as I was writing the show up, I thought about this, and I'm like, wow, this is such a privilege, because how often do we get to have men talking about sex, about their relationship to their sex in a public, wholesome, honoring, authentic, honesty way. We banter at the bars, we make sex jokes in life, we even have derogatory comments left and right here and there, but to really sit and talk about, this is what my relationship to my sex is like, especially for men, it just feels so courageous and so authentic to me. So I'm so grateful for my guest today to to volunteer to do this with me. So let me do a quick introduction so you know who are on the line, and then we'll dive in. So I'll start I'll just start. I'll start with Peter Rubin. Peter is a young 26, single, multiple relationship kind of guy, Stanford grad, and he's also a co-founder of the Reinvention Circle with me, a new venture that we're building. So Peter, say hi so everyone can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And then we have Justice Marshall. Justice is a father, a husband, and he is 40-something. Been married and divorced before. Have 2 kids. Is a therapist and a coach, a consultant, a writer, a great writer, by the way, and a gardener and a juggler and a wise ass. so he wrote. So Justice, welcome.
Thank you.
Justice, I didn't get your age. How old are you?
40 on the button.
40 on the button. Woohoo! Okay, and then we have Ron Abram. Ron Abram is 61, and he's in a monogamous relationship with a dear friend of mine. He's a father, a successful businessman, an adventurer, a world traveler, an extreme athlete, and a heliboarder, and a stilt walker. So, Ron, welcome. Did I lose Ron? Ron, you might have to unmute yourself so you can say hi to us. Okay. I'm just going to move on, and hopefully we'll figure out what's happening with Ron's mic. Peter, we have another Peter, Peter Kuo. He's my he's my token Asian male. So far, we have all white male on the call, and I dragged Peter in and said, "Will you please be the voice of the Asian man? I want to have an Asian man on the call too." So Peter is are you 40-ish, Peter?
43.
43, married. Monogamous, 2 kids, Republican Christian businessman, and an upstanding community. And I know Peter because we play poker together.
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. So that's the. Oh wait, there's Matt. Matt. Okay.
Hi.
Matt, I am running 2 computers and all this stuff, and so I'm not always clear. Get my things here. Okay. So Matt is 42, single, previously married, 14 years. He's a college professor and also a coach. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
Yay! Matt is calling in from Colorado, and Justice is calling in from Canada, and the rest of us are in the Bay Area. So, all right, shall we dive into this? So, first of all, let me just check in with you guys. How are you? How is it being on this show so far?
So far, so good, May.
Any notes?
Yeah, right now it's perfect.
May.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me start with the first question. How would you describe your relationship to your sex? Like, how, if you were to like describe it using a metaphor or something, how would you describe your sex?
Do you want to take turns, or how do you want to do this?
Sure. Anyone?
Hey, you know what might be fun, May, is if you just directed your question to a particular man.
Okay. How about you, Justin?
Yeah.
Oh, there. I guess I deserve that, don't I?
How about you?
How would I describe my sex? Well, it's definitely changing, evolving, deep, important, surprising.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a metaphor coming right up, so just a few words for me to start anyway, May.
Okay, thanks. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I like a lot of those words. I really don't have a lot to add to that other than, just reemphasizing. I think it's just evolving.
Yeah. And any one of the Peters?
Peter Quell here. I would say 60% happy most of the time.
Uh-huh.
And that's that, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Nice to have that quantitative context.
Say that
very
again?
male.
Yeah, it's nice to have that quantitative context. 50% happy, or happy 50% of the time. It's like I really get a solid sense of what that means.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask you a little bit more, Peter Quo, because so what conspired the 50% happy, and what makes up the other 50%?
Okay, so the problem, it's not really a problem. I would say expectation for me was, every other day, right? So it's quality and quantity is all pretty important. But as you get married and have children, things really, really change for the worse, in my opinion. And I was told by my spiritual advisor, in order to be happy, you have to sort of set timing for sex even. So we come to an agreement that we'll do it on Wednesday and Saturdays. So that way you have sort of expectations and you're not disappointed if you don't get it or things like that. So that turned out to be a pretty good method for us. But again, there were times it just didn't happen on a certain Saturday or Wednesday, and those are the days that you become disappointed or unhappy in that sense. Yeah.
So it's for you. It sounds like on the surface anyway. There's a not enough or not consistent and not enough or something there for you that makes it not.
Yeah, they're correct. Yeah, there's always that time where not everything is perfect, and for her, it seems to everything has to be perfect in order for her to have sex. So the kids cannot be crying. Everything has to be perfect, just right. She has to be in a good mood, and I literally had to look at the moon just to figure out, if that's going to be a good day for her or not. So it was kind of catch and hit and miss once in a while. But
right.
In general, 60% of the time we'll follow that rule. So if you want to quantify it, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Thank you. And I'm pretty sure that you speak for a lot of men out there, so I appreciate you bringing that honesty in.
Oh, sure.
Is Peter Rubin still on the line?
Yeah, I just hearing that I'm like amazed at what a diverse group you have here. You know, I've never scheduled sex, and I was listening. I'm like, oh my God, like that is a totally like valid way to do it.
Right.
And makes sense. Like I think my metaphor is like for most of my life, sex has been like a dog, and either like a wild dog or like a scared dog. But either way, it's felt like something I should like control or manage or get right. And over the past year, I've been just doing a lot of work to trust my sex. And yeah, the trust has opened a lot up. You know, this show's rated R, right?
It's rated G&R. G and R is great.
Great. Well, my favorite phrase these days is the wisdom of the cock. Which for me is like, it's like really listening to what I want. Like, do I want sex? Do I not want it? And not making myself wrong for wherever I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm having more sex than I used to. Maybe, yeah, I am. I'm having more sex, but not as much more, not as much more as I would have thought. Because I'm just like, you know, I'm trusting myself when I want it or I don't, and when I don't, I'm more curious about the reasons or what's there, and less trying to control the dog.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's right.
Yeah, May, can I add something to that?
Please. Who's this?
This is Matt.
Okay.
You know, being a college professor, it's interesting. I work a lot with Peter's age group, and it's shocking to me that the number 1 and 2 drugs that are used on campus are actually antidepressants and Viagra.
Wow.
And you wouldn't think that, any college kids would have any business messing around with Viagra at that age. But I think it's indicative that we've lost, the wisdom of the cock, of just the wisdom of the genitalia, that, a limp cock or not a wet vagina can tell you something about, that it has wisdom to share about this isn't somebody that you're wanting to be with. And I think there's so much pressure to perform, both on men and women, but, and then you throw in the antidepressant drugs, which, is this idea that you can't ever be anything but happy. And so I like that idea of finding some bodily wisdom in there and going back to that idea.
This could be the outcome of my show. Is we have a new, a new T-shirt thing that says "Wisdom of the Cock" or something.
Yeah.
Pray to the cock.
I'd wear it proudly.
Yeah, put a big rooster on it.
I like it.
Oh my God, that's great. I don't know where my friend Ron went. He got dropped off somewhere, and I do have someone on the line, but I'm not sure who this person is. Okay.
You are reverbing to me now.
Is that you, Ron?
It is.
Oh my gosh, you sound like God coming in.
Well, that's a little scary.
I was like, whoa.
Ron definitely has the radio voice going on.
Yeah, no doubt.
I do have a radio voice.
Excellent.
I love it. So, Ron, tell
Yes.
us your relationship with your sex.
Well, my relationship with my sex is powerful. I think that I have had a strong relationship with my sex all my life. Sometimes I've been secure with it, sometimes insecure with it, sometimes frightened by it, sometimes not quite sure what to do with it. Today, I'm probably more centered and in balance with it than I've ever been. And I think it's due in part because I'm a little bit older and because I've had an opportunity to sort of look inside and find out what is important to me regarding sex. And, it's hard for me to distinguish at this time between the language of the heart and the language of sex.
Wow, now you're echoing too. I love it.
No, so are you.
It's like the universe is working in your favor.
I'm a very, very lucky guy.
Okay, so let's see. What else should we ask you guys? What's difficult about sex?
Oh, Jesus, what? Oh, okay. I didn't know I was on. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you want to find out what men want. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, wait. First of all, introduce yourself, please, since I don't know you.
Well, I don't know you either. My name's Joe. You
Okay.
wouldn't expect to know me. The thing is, I think it's pretty simple. Most men want a woman who is good-looking, intelligent, somebody they can trust, somebody they can respect, who can respect them back. Very simple summary. It's not complicated. It's not full of psychobabble. It's not full of poetry. It's just pure, plain, simple facts. If you can get along with that woman, you respect her. And if you find her attractive, if you find her interesting, you pretty much almost have it made. If she can return the feelings, and if she can find you interesting, she should have it made as well. However, there's a fly in the ointment. My personal philosophy is that when men and women get together, is that even if they do like each other, even if they do find each other attractive and find each other interesting, and if they find each other pretty good in bed, has anybody ever asked themselves, why do these kind of relationships ever go wrong? I would imagine, yeah, going by the silence. I think women need action, need adventure, have so many romantic expectations that they can't handle harmony. If you put a man and a woman together and they really like each other, almost falling in love, maybe even half fallen in love, maybe even have gotten married, and if there's a period in their lives where everything is going fine, the woman will always have to start some sort of crap. She has to have something. She has to be defiant. She has to find something wrong when there's nothing going wrong. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure. Do I get muted now, or do I hear rebuttals?
Well, I'm not sure what's the rebuttal, actually.
Okay.
What would you like to rebut?
What was your question, May?
Well, my question is, what's difficult about sex?
A lot of things could go wrong in the process.
Yeah, risk,
for me
right?
at least. For me at least, it seems to me everything has to be perfect. It just that difficult part is getting to be to satisfy her, to satisfy myself. In the process, a lot of things could have gone wrong. So that's where the difficulties are. But that's my opinion.
I love your opinion, Peter. I mean, you're just like so honest and so vulnerable about this. I mean, I can so get it. There's a lot that could go wrong, right? Like what you said, equipment don't work, mood don't work, blah blah blah, timing, everything could go wrong. How do you guys overcome that? How do you guys how do you keep coming back for more?
Well, May, this is other Peter.
Yeah.
I've been just looking at my stories of like what it means to have wrong sex.
Uh-huh.
When I think sex is going wrong, I just look at that really carefully and see what my hidden expectations are.
Ah, okay.
It's like, okay, I'm trying to have sex and I'm not hard. Okay. And instead of making myself wrong or the situation wrong, it's like just feeling what is that like? Because when I start freaking out that it's going wrong, then it stays wrong. Or it stays, it gets stuck in whatever it is. So I've been having fun just like communicating more openly about like what is and what's true, instead of trying to have a certain type of sex and really really going with that process.
Mm.
And for me, that's opened up, a lot of fears I had, like around performance or around like really rigid expectations of like what sex was supposed to be like. The fears are starting to fall away a bit more now that I'm opening up my view of what's acceptable.
Thank you. How about you, Justice or Matt?
What's difficult about sex? That's the question?
Yeah.
I'm not personally experiencing a difficulty with sex right now, is the truth.
So what got you there? What's working so well?
Well, rapport, I guess, and this is I think so classic. If things in my life are flowing, rolling smoothly, and things in my marriage, if we've got good communication, we're happy, and that has to do with like how our life together is going, but also how our life as individuals, our lives are going, then sex is easy. It just there aren't difficulties with it, and the difficulties that we might run into are usually reflections of other stuff that's going on, either in the relationship or in our own lives, and that's usually an opportunity for us at some point. And it might take a while to get there, to remember, because I have some sort of amnesia about this, it seems, that there's something to be processed or unpacked or identified, and usually it's something that's come between us, some hurt feelings or a frustration that's work-related maybe, or another member of the family.
Right.
And so once we identify that and we can give each other some support in that, then our sexual energy gets freed up. And yeah. So I guess what's working well for us right now is that we're keeping that clear between the two of us. So, and I guess that's the other thing that's important to me about this discussion, is that sex usually involves another person. It's a co-created, as much as it is, as much as it's important to own it for yourself, it's also a co-created event. And what I realized coming onto this call is that there's a way that limits how explicitly I want to go into some of my experiences, because they involve somebody else who hasn't stepped up to this call and said, yeah, let's go public with this.
Right.
As a married man.
Yeah. So that there are levels of complexity that adds to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love it.
May, can you hear me at all?
I can, Ron.
You can. Great. Okay. Yeah. I'm back. I was disconnected. I'm back again. Third try. We'll see if it works this time.
No, I'm sorry that the connection has been really challenging for you, but you sound
no worries.
Yep. How about you, Ron? Anything?
The only thing that I would add, and I didn't hear everything that was said by the other individuals, I think bottom line, it really boils down to just communication for me.
Yeah.
And I mean on a lot of levels. I mean communication intra-personally with what's going on inside me, and then being willing and capable of expressing those feelings, thoughts to my partner, and telling her what my fears are or what my concerns are, and being totally open about it. And I find that openness, that willingness to open my heart, oftentimes ends up in an even more magnificent sexual experience, because the connection is at a very deeper level.
So yeah, it's like, so what I get from you, Ron, and from Justice is like, it's absolutely, I'm going to about to say a very duh statement, but sex is related to emotion, the emotional state, and the ability to communicate with each other.
For me, that is correct. If I'm in a committed relationship, and I am, then I need to have that element to take me way deeper into my love than just the mechanical act of sex itself.
Right.
Sex becomes a part of that relationship, a very big part, a very important part, but a part of, not just the end.
Yeah. Anything to add, Matt, and Peter?
The only thing I would add is, having been married for 14 years, I think it was a unique situation in that the sex life was actually getting better as time went on. And I think if you have that level of trust and communication, it's just the level of sex that is amazing. And I think now being a single person, it's tough because I think I've come to the conclusion I just don't believe in fuck buddies anymore. And and maybe that can be true for other people, but it's, wanting that reconnecting, wanting that relationship, but you have to start, with baby steps or walking. It takes time to get to the really good stuff. And so I think that's, you asked what's difficult. For me, being a single person, I think it's wanting to be back in a really deep, intimate relationship, but really sort of having to start almost like where it feels like you're back in high school in some ways, kissing and holding hands, and and then there's this pressure that you are adults, that you can do whatever you want to do, So it's navigating that I think is the challenge for me.
Yeah, thank you. And how about you, Peter Rubin? Since you are not in a monogamous relationship, so what's that like for you?
It's interesting. You said something about, fuck buddies not being satisfying for you.
Not being satisfying, but just like I guess the point I was trying to make is that I think at some point a relationship develops and you start to care for one another, that you can't separate those two out.
Totally. Yeah, it just made me think, like, what is it that I'm exploring with these days? And I think what I'm trying on is this, this possibility that I can have multiple relationships at once and that they don't detract from each other. And I'm dating, four different women, and we each have our own, relationship and communication that is unique to that relationship. And I'm actually taking it pretty slowly with each of them, and really taking the time to build it instead of, going for, quick sex or sort of surface level interaction. And I find that what comes up is a lot of sort of shame and guilt. I don't think our culture really gives this as an option. It's either you're having a deep relationship with one person or you have a lot of superficial relationships. And this experiment I'm trying of having multiple deep, committed yet not exclusive relationships feels like there are very few people I know who are playing in this territory with me.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm an explorer there. And so, so far so good.
Well, you're 1 out of 7 on this call. Kind of like...
Yeah. No, I feel like I'm in good company, actually.
Yeah.
I actually do surround myself with good company, but I don't think it's that common that people will play with this.
Well, let's take a 20-second commercial break, take a breather, and then we'll come back. And I'd love to hear some sex stories. I'm starting a new portion of my show. After the commercial, we get to hear, it's like story time, So if you have any good, yummy sex stories, it doesn't have to be successful. It could be a disaster or whatever, but we'd love to hear some of your stories.
There's so much more to May Vu than sex. If you enjoy her on this show, give her other radio show a listen. It's called The Reinvention Show. This week's episode is called Money and Self-Worth, and it's waiting for you to listen reinventioncircle.com.
Whew, that was a new commercial. We'll have to undo the sound a little bit there on that one. Anyway, so I'm here with Peter Kuo, Justice Marshall, Matt Morava, Ron Abram, and Peter Rubin talking about sex. So story time. Anyone get some good story to tell? Or do I have to go down the list and call you by each person? Peter Kuo, you're on.
Okay. Oh boy. Well, I think my story or situation is sort of rare or unique in today's society. I mean, honestly, I met my wife when I was 18. Didn't get to kiss her until I was 20. Didn't sleep with her until I was 21. In fact, on my 21st birthday, we popped each other's cherries, and that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so I've been with one woman for the past 25 years. I mean, it's really, really, again, I don't see that or hear that too often.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that, yes, I'm extremely curious about other women, but because of my upbringing, sex can ruin a lot of things if you're not careful. So I always had that thought in the back of my mind, if I fucked up, it's really not good.
Right.
So I really, I came close a few times of having affairs, but never actually doing it, just because, again, it was a very, very difficult thing to do, but I was, I pulled it off somehow. So to my dear wife, I mean, she also warned me repeatedly, usually on our wedding anniversary, saying that if I screwed up, that's pretty much it. And fearing that I would lose everything, half of everything I have, it just sort of stopped me in the tracks of doing the crazy stuff. So, our sex life in particular, it's been very steady. I wouldn't say no ups and downs and no crazy positions or anything like that. So I'll be the first person to tell you I don't have crazy stories to tell. But yes, fantasies, lots of fantasies in my head, and unfortunately, computer seems to be my best friend at night too. So, so internet porn seems to be a good company nowadays. So in that way, at least I don't sort of get in trouble in her definition of having an affair or anything like that. But I do need sex to go to sleep. So either her or something else. So
Peter, you're adorable.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Peter, that is the most beautiful story. I'm so touched and moved by you and your honesty. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
How about you, Justice?
Yeah, I was really appreciating that story as well.
Yeah, makes me want to cry. What, Justice, as a man, what's that like to hear that story?
Well, there's a part of it there's parts of it that are familiar. I mean, it's not my story, and yet I can feel aspects of it resonating with me.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, my sexual experience, my lifetime sexual experience. I haven't been with the same woman forever, but it hasn't been as diverse as as a lot of men that I know, and in retrospect, as I would like it to be. When I look at my life history and my sexual history, I see a lot of missed opportunities. I guess looking back on my own history, how my own fear and shame has held me back from having a fuller experience, and now being a married man in a happy and committed marriage, and knowing really clearly where my wife's boundaries are, because we've had lots of discussion around that. It's for me. It's it's in some ways kind of bittersweet, because I do being in my marriage gives me so much, and it's so wonderful, and it's what I've chosen, and it is also by definition limiting.
Right.
And so that's something that I've had to struggle with at times.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a struggle now, but I've definitely gone through struggle around that.
Yeah. I totally get that too. Thank you. How about you, Matt? What's a sex story?
Just listening to Peter's story and Justice's story. I mean, it's interesting to me, because being on the outside now, I want back in. You know, I mean, I've had the freedom now after a long-term committed relationship to explore and have some really interesting and great sex partners, but boy, there's nothing like monogamy and the sex that comes from that deep level of trust.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I mean, I could tell you some fun stories, but it would always be a little bit bittersweet in the other way, in that there wasn't that same level of love and companionship and trust, you know?
Yeah. Well, tell us a fun story anyway, Matt.
A fun story. Yes.
It's story time. I got my blanket. I'm ready.
Well, now, you know, I'm a little bit hesitant in that, and I'll tell you why. Only because I think what Justice said is really resonated with me, in which it's a partnership, and you know, how do you tell a story when the other person hasn't? I mean, I guess it's anonymous or whatever. No one would know, you know. But it feels a little bit strange, you know. Sort of telling tales like in the locker room or whatever.
Well, tell it from your side. Like, what happened to you and what you got from it.
You know, I guess I can share this story. I think it's okay. You know, I had a pretty significant loss in 2008. I lost my dad suddenly. It was just a kind of unexpected accident, and had just kind of reconnected with a old girlfriend. And I tell you, it was interesting to me, in that passion that was there 20 years ago in high school is still there 20 years later, and that there is something about chemistry, you know, that you can have somebody that you truly are fit for in those terms, and to have animalistic sex, I think, was very new to me. You know, a lot of grunting, and I'd come away wounded, and I wasn't sure what to do with that. You know, like I was always like marked up in some way, and I'd never had that kind of level of just kind of pure base animal sort of engagement. It was very interesting.
So you're saying that you did have that, and that was really good.
I did have that, yeah.
And it was really hot.
It was really hot. You know, and I think, you know, the reason why I told the story about my dad is I think sometimes when we come face to face with loss like that, it adds just an element of that we know that we're here for a short period of time. You know, and that there is something to enjoy life while you can. You know, that it is a blessing to have a hard cock and to use it well. You know? I mean, it is. Yeah, and to have somebody that is enjoying it as well. I mean, I think that's the key thing, that, you know, that to be with somebody that's just as interested in it as you are.
Right.
I don't know if that's a great story, but
it is. You know, that perfect place, perfect time, that right moment, the right person, and everybody wants to play and play full out. It's good.
Mhm.
Yep. Thanks, Matt. How about you, Ron?
Well, there's lots of stories. You know, I've had an opportunity to be in long committed relationships, married for a long while, be outside of marriage, and be with some very special people that were short term.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of different opportunities for me to explore things, and it's all been good, and yet there are times when it has been less than good. And you want specific stories. I'll give you kind of a comical specific story that relates to me only, and that's my early education around sex when I was probably in the 7th or 8th grade. And I had heard disjointed pieces of information about sex. Could be masturbation, could be homosexual sex, could be heterosexual sex, could have been venereal disease. There are all these different kinds of ideas that were being spun around. And one morning, after discovering my own self when I was relatively 13 or 14 years old, I remember walking into the family room one morning and having heard a discussion about venereal disease the day before, say to my mother and father, "Can you get venereal disease from masturbation?" And they were very kind to me. They didn't laugh at me. They just said, "Oh, no, you can't. And they let it go at that. And then later I reflected on it as a parent when I thought about that question that I'd asked my mom and dad, and I thought, oh my God, how did they keep a straight face, and how did they allow that to, be unaffected to me? And it turned out it was a non-event. It was no big deal. What I think, though, as I have gone through time, is much of what I've heard from others here today. The sex for me is always better in a relationship where I have commitment. And while I've had certain circumstances where there was no commitment, it was lots of fun, but it was never as fulfilling. It was never as complete. It was never as deep as the sex that I have in a committed relationship. And in the relationship that I'm in now, I feel we are equals. I feel that there is that commonality of wanting that kind of relationship that is deep, that is physical, but that comes from a host of different levels. And for me, that's what I want. That's what I need right now. I don't need to be playful. I've been there. I don't want that. And I think that's what it really comes down to for me personally. It's a personal choice. What do I want? Not what does society want for me, or what does my partner want from me, but what do I want, and how well can I communicate that? And how can I ask and be available to hear what you want as well?
Yeah. Well, I can't help but reflect on this one when you say it's all about commitment. And then I thought about, Peter Crow, what you're sharing with you and in your marriage, and I wonder about commitment. Like, what are you and your partner committed to, and what is Peter and his partner committed to? We always use the word as if it means the same thing, but maybe the commitment to what that needs to be specified so that Peter can have what he wants, and Ron has what he wants, and Justice have what he wants. I don't know. There's something there that's very curious to me.
I think, I can only answer for me, and what commitment means to me, when I say commitment relative to sex, it means that I will be your partner and you will be mine. Yeah. And not that you will have other partners, and not that I will have other partners. And if I'm not willing to do that, then I'm not willing to have that commitment. And I need to be very clear about that as well. I'm either willing to be committed to you 100%, meaning exclusive, or I'm not, and then be clear about that.
Right.
And for me personally, I have no choice but to be in integrity. If I tell you one thing, I'm not going to do the other.
Yeah. Well, but I also wonder too about other things. I'm not getting this from any one of you, but it just makes my brain go to, wow, I never thought of it that way. What am I committed to? Am I committed to maintaining status quo, controlling you, or am I committed to satisfying you or providing everything that you need, whatever you need? What are we really committed to? So anyway, that was just where my brain went.
No, it's a good place, I think, and it's a really good question, because the implied understanding is that commitment means you're not going to have sex with anybody else.
Right.
But there's a lot of other levels to commitment, and when we talk about relationship commitment, it always seems to default to that, and I think there's probably a dark side to that, which is that we assume that's sufficient, or that that's the whole story. And if we follow through on that commitment, then we're kind of doing our job. But I think a lot of other commitments that we should be considering in our lives probably get swept aside because that one is so big.
Right.
My thinking on it is that we love, whether you're into bondage or not, we love rope. We love to be tied down in certain ways, and it's always amazing to me how I'll have a client get a raise and then they go out and spend that raise, or single for a moment and then jump right back into another relationship. I mean, I think that we learn something from, the pain of commitment, or the shadow of commitment, as much as we do from the security that it gives us. There's some value to that as well, I think.
Yeah, and back to what Justice was saying, it's just like, take some time and let's ask ourselves, what are you committed to, and what am I committed to? Because I think there's a lot of room there for like the gray stuff, the gray area, and that could really shoot you in the foot, or have you sacrifice a lot of yourself for the sake of that bigger commitment thing.
That's a really big question. Yeah, it's a really good one. I mean, if I'm committed to being honest with myself, for instance, which is a pretty important commitment in my life, then how does that big commitment in my relationship relate to that commitment that I have to myself?
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to put on a lot of blinders, or really kind of shut ourselves down to live by the rules that we make for ourselves.
Yes, I think
that's what you're getting at, right?
Right. I can feel that. Yeah. Anyway, how about you, Peter? What's your sex story?
I just want to comment on that.
Okay.
I think it's such a good question, and I'd say my commitment's, like, in some ways the opposite. Like, my commitment is not to shut down or put the blinders on. Because I have so much, habit of getting small and not asking for what I want. And my commitment just to be, to be honest with myself and honest with my partners. And this show is putting my feet to the fire. Because I'm imagining, the women I'm dating all listening to this, and that's sort of fun for me. It's like, how truthful can I be, and and also I need to make some agreements with people. That's for sure.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll talk about. I had sex last night. It was pretty interesting. I went on a date, and I've been getting over this sort of like clingy cough cold thing. So I went out and had wine and went to this like pretty cool jazz cafe in the city, and I told her I was sick, and trying to be respectful, I kept my distance, kept my saliva to myself, and I could tell there was attraction there, but we just had that boundary for the date, and I was sort of frustrated and got home to my house and was brushing my teeth and hopped in the shower and just started talking to one of my housemates who I've also been dating, and like in a minute here I was at her door and she's heading to bed, and I wanted to have sex with her. So I made that. Part of me was like, oh, I don't know, I want to go to bed, and she's like, well, it's up to you, come in or not. And I did, and there was having the sex I didn't have on my date, half an hour earlier. And it was just like, whoa, it was like looking at my sort of like polyamorous life, like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. It was it was pretty fun.
The life of Peter Rubin.
not too bad. It's like I'm living my middle school fantasy that I never let myself have.
That's it.
Yeah, no regret.
People's fantasies. Well, I actually have my two friends, Sally and Natalie, just joined us. They are on the road. They live in an RV and they travel around the country. They're on an experiment. So they're going to jump in and tell us where they are today, and maybe they have a good, yummy questions for the boys on the show. Sally and Natalie?
Hey, guys. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Where are you today?
Hello. We are in Springfield, Missouri right now.
Awesome. And what's the weather like?
Freezing. 25. Literally.
And from our last show. Oh yes, I did see that on your blog that you were wrapping the dog up in blankets and all that stuff.
Yeah. Our feet are literally like you can't feel your toes kind of thing.
Oh, yikes. So, well, that makes me think of my last challenge to you. They were on the show last week, and I challenged them to have sex on the road and come back and report out. How did that go?
Not very good. Yeah.
Oh, no. We were counting on you.
I'm gonna have to send.
We knew you guys were gonna be disappointed in us. I feel like everyone's more disappointed than we are.
I don't know if you were on listening earlier, but Justice was saying something like, when he reflects back into his life, there was a lot of missed opportunity because of shame or fear or guilt or whatever, that he could have had a lot more sex and he didn't. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, Sally and Natalie, you get out there.
Live it up.
Well, I can honestly say that if I felt like I had had the opportunity, I would have taken it for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
It might fix the cold situation a little bit. Get you warmed up. It'll warm you up.
Oh.
So do you guys have a question for the beautiful men on the call today?
Yeah, I actually, that last part you were talking about, polyamory, actually, is that something that's current, you're exploring that, or was something you were exploring?
That would be to Peter Rubin.
Yeah. I'm currently in the muck of it all. The joy in the muck of it.
The joy in the muck of it. Yeah, because I was dating someone for a little bit that was exploring that himself, and I'm definitely an open-minded person and have been curious about it for a long time. This idea of the energy that we put into one person and or multiple people, the person that I was with I felt like he couldn't even hang with one relationship and he was trying to get multiple. So what do you think of that whole idea of the energy that you put into each relationship?
That's funny because I've had that story for years now. Like, oh God, one woman's enough. How could I handle more than that? You know, and first thing I left my job, so I don't have a 9 to 5. So I literally just have more time in my life, and I'm making.
That's helpful.
Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret right there. Nothing fancy. I just make it a priority.
Full-time girlfriend.
Yeah, it's like, how do I make time? I don't, I guess I see, like, before women I date, I see them, like, once, one of them's long distance, so I see her for, like, a week at a time every couple months. And then one woman I live with, and the other two I see, every week or every other week.
Got it.
So it's not that much time, and, to be honest, like, I've been very, like, present moment oriented. Like, I'm not spending all day thinking about everyone. And when I'm with them,
right.
I give really high quality attention.
Right.
So in that way, it's not like I'm, thinking about everyone and, like, juggling it all the time. It's like, I'll send text messages or whatever, but mostly it's just, like, enjoying the time that we do have together. And it's been pretty simple. Like, I should knock on wood right now, but so far it's been pretty, pretty simple for some reason.
Somebody just typed in and said, do your girlfriends know about each other?
Oh, they do now.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They do. That's a complicated one. Like, I don't know. I don't really want to go through each one, but it's like, sometimes I've erred on both sides. Like, sometimes I say too much. I'm like, oh, I'm talking about another date that I went on, and it just feels mean or like wrong or like she didn't even ask, you know? Like, sometimes I feel like I offer too much, and I wonder if I'm doing it for me or for her. You know, like, sometimes it comes from the place of me feeling like a little twinge of guilt, and then I'll talk about it, and that feels bad.
It sounds like you need to do a show on just polyamory and what does it take to live in a polyamory life, yeah?
You should bring in an expert, because I'd like to know.
Okay. Well, we only have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to, open this back up and see, and let's just finish off with, something fun, what's your favorite fantasy? Because Peter Quo said he had a lot of fantasies, so I'd love to hear back from him.
Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah, what's your favorite fantasy, Peter?
Well, fantasy, I don't know, being with 2 women at the same time, that would be good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, anyway, that's that. Yeah.
Are they doing anything particular for you?
Oh, God. Yeah, I imagine myself as a porn star once in a while, so.
Wow.
Are they doing anything particular? No, I mean, this is a family show, so I wouldn't go there.
Okay.
I think most men can relate. I mean, yeah.
Thank you. How about Matt or Ron or Justice or even the girls, Sally and Natalie? What's your favorite fantasy?
Wait, when you say fantasy as in something that has not happened and you'd like it, or you fantasize about, or
anything goes, honey.
Oh, well, I've definitely had this fantasy for a long time of finding a waterfall that's totally secluded in nature and just butt naked and having sex in this pool, this beautiful waterfall in a gorgeous area.
Nice.
Nature.
Nice.
Yeah, cold water doesn't work well with our equipment.
Warm waterfall.
It's a fantasy.
The warmest waterfall you could ever imagine.
Oh, okay.
Because we can go in and sit on your metaphor, on your fantasy over there, and say it doesn't work that way either. How about Matt? Matt, what's your favorite fantasy? Hurry, we only have 2 minutes left.
Yeah. All right, but this is going to get me in trouble. This is a fantasy only. But I'm a college professor, and sometimes I have that student trying to get a grade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We know that fantasy.
Exactly.
That's actually my fantasy too, but I'm the student.
Wow.
Nice. That's perfect matchup.
There you go. Sally with glasses or without glasses?
Oh, glasses. Glasses are important.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for playing and being courageous and authentic and honest with us on the show. I knew it wasn't long enough. We just are now barely getting into the good, fun stuff. And so I'd love to invite you back anytime.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, May.
All right.
Thanks, May.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, May.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. May is always looking for new.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Thank you for listening to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. You can find May on Facebook by liking her page, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, or hang out with her on Google+. To find her, type in the URL gplus.to/Mayvu, gplus.to/Mayvu. to/MAIVU.